War. War never changes. Until now. Welcome to another Megiddo Gaming video. First, a few important things. Since the beta has not yet released, some topics in this video are subject to change, as Bethesda stated that they're still doing some tweaks before the beta even releases, and this is mostly just based off of what we found thus far. This is not Fallout 5. This is essentially Fallout 4 online. It is a player-driven game, and not just in terms of economy. The entire game is all about the players that are in it. There have been a handful of games, mostly smaller titles, that have tried to do what Bethesda is doing now, and they failed even just 2 years into a release. But they were marketed and created very poorly. You know, with our feedback in the beta, it could be a very polished and amazing game. You can play solo, but there will be other people there, and you are incentivized to play with others. This game was created to do what MMORPGs originally set out to do, bring people together to socialize and work cohesively in one world. Over the years, demand for solo play, or the nostalgia of games like Morrowind, has increased demand in all MMOs to have a system in place that makes playing solo equal or on par to a group or guild system. This, in my opinion, has created a wedge that has stopped communication between others. Most people don't even have headsets, they don't communicate in chat. Bethesda has now created a world where you are the game. The only NPCs are robots like Mr. Handy that are only there to drive quests and stories. Why are there no NPCs? Because there hasn't been anyone in this world to take a place as a vendor or a governing body. You, the players, are the first to create a structure of government in this world, vendors, raiders, whatever you'd like to be. This slate's been wiped clean. This is taking place before the other Fallout games. There will be mods in the future that will allow for a complete solo play, but this is far down the road, as this is not the intent of the game. So for people that just want to play solo, wait for a mod to come out later, wait for Fallout 5, or come out of your hermit caves, join the rest of us, and play this amazing game that's community driven. And yeah, definitely make sure you bring a headset, because playing in a group, yeah, you'll have to communicate. Ooh, perish the thought. So starting the game, you're logged into an instance with up to 23 other players. Like with all Bethesda games, you start alone in a dungeon, or in this case, a shelter, where you can get familiar with the controls in the new special system. So the perks and special system in here is similar to Fallout 4, but with a few changes. You essentially pick a class. So instead of assigning your first set of points, it is pre-designed template that when you choose a class from other MMOs. So if you want to be able to heal other players and make aid for them to sell, you would choose that class that's going to set your base points to be geared towards making those aid devices, healing other players, things like that. Now you also get perk cards. These cards can be changed depending on what your specialty will be. So for instance, if you want to be solo, and would swap out your cards depending on if you need to make aid, enhance your abilities for battle, and so on. These cards can also be traded with other players. So if you're more proficient at building and you have no need for cards that help in healing, those cards could be given to one of your friends, so that way they could increase their abilities to make aid and heal the group. Of course, anything that affected solo player environment has been augmented from what Fallout 4 was. So just for example, you wouldn't get a discount on items purchased from a vendor because the vendor is a player, so they worked hard to get that item. Just because you have a perk card doesn't mean that you're going to be able to buy that item from them for 3 caps instead of 10. That would just be, well, rude to the other player. Speaking of vendors, you can create items in the game to be traded for other players' caps. Now these machines require, when you build them, to have a certain perk card or an ability to do so. So if you need to make medical aid, you will have to have a card in order to create that vending machine to trade those items to other players. The versatility of the system is great since you don't have to create multiple characters to achieve a desired result. You can just swap out cards and assign your special points as needed as you earn them. Now you can't just throw all the best cards into a pile and become a super being. You can only pick cards that are controlled within your special stats. So if you don't have a high enough intelligence, you won't be able to use this certain card. Now, we'll feel that there are limitations on some of this, and this is intentional. Fallout 76 is all about working with others. You can create your character to kind of a jack of all trades, but to be the most efficient in this game, they want you to join other players that have a specialty in another area of expertise. There is a small tutorial on settlements as well before you leave the vault. Once you have chosen your special points, you will be introduced to the camp system, which we'll be going over later. And you come out the vault, you find yourself in West Virginia. It's 4 times the size of the Fallout 4 map. The first thing you notice is that everything looks dead and wasted away. There are plants, mountains, you can see the weather systems in the distance. The level of detail in this game has actually been increased over 16 times. Now you can choose to wander this new world alone, find a group, or even just start working towards building your settlement. Anything you choose, I would recommend following the quest line first. This will get you used to the controls, get some items, and maybe even a better idea of what you want to do in the game. Also, with like other games, it's nice to bring a little experience to a group when you join, but you can also just choose to join a group and then learn together throughout your gameplay. Now you will encounter all sorts of creatures in this game. Some familiar like super mutants and deathclaws, others like giant sloths or bats, and of course other players. Now with players, they could be friend or foe. Don't worry, Bethesda assures us that anti-griefing and anti-trolling systems are in place and are consistently being tweaked now, before the beta, during the beta, and after. So even if you meet an unfriendly player, that will only be a minor nuisance, and they just do that to create drama, not to ruin your entire day or experience. You can be rewarded for killing other players to a point. Would you rather have like a paltry bounty reward for killing someone, or a lifelong friend that you could share items and build settlements together, and someone that will have your back instead of stab you in the back? Now speaking of settlements, so you got a handle on the game, you have a few friends, you've met the stat requirements and item requirements to start building. In the tutorial, you're given a camp. This item is a portable workbench that you can place almost anywhere. It costs caps to place it down, and once placed you can start building. Now those that have you added to your group in a game can help you build on these settlements. If you don't want others messing with your build, do not invite them to your group. You can still be friendly with them, but they won't have access to your settlement. Now, your builds are saved as blueprints. This is done for many reasons. One, since this game loads chunks similar to that of like a game like Minecraft just around your player, your camp acts as an anchor, remembering where it's built and keeping that part of the world alive. If you switch instances the next login, you can reload your blueprint even if you're in another world with different players. Also, say you have a group settlement and your friends are not on, you can load that blueprint and change that blueprint for something more geared towards a solo player. So you could have one blueprint for all your friends and then another blueprint that just has, you know, your nice base of operations for when you're playing by yourself. So you can't have multiple settlements in a bunch of places at once, but you still get different settlements you can load in at a cost. The cap's cost system is in place so as not to be able to exploit switching camps quickly, instance to instance. Now your settlements can be destroyed and or need repaired. However, if you die, none of your inventory or settlement is lost. You just simply respawn or have to repair. Now, as I stated, in the perks section, you are required to have certain perks or abilities to use some of the items in your build menu, such as vending machines. Not really for anything like structures, walls, windows, things like that. So if you want a bunch of turrets, you would have to have a perk for building defenses. You could still build them yourself, but someone that has the right cards for it will get added benefits at higher level traps and turrets. You do have a build limit per person in your settlement. So the only way to have a larger settlement is to be with a group and each person sets up their camp. These limits are in place so that way you don't bog down the game. I mean, there will be 23 other players possibly with their own settlements. So say you found someone to team up with, you can pick up your camp and move it next to theirs. There are limitations where you can place your camp, such as it needs to be on a level surface and away from the vault. Away from the vault helps with griefing, being so close to the spawn, and where you place your settlement being on a flat surface, it makes it so, you can't just build a settlement, one part of your settlement's on a mountain, and then if you try to move it, you don't have a mountain to place it on. So now that you have a place to call home, and you want to explore more and get some rare items, there are mini-type bosses roaming West Virginia that can have rare drops of weapons and armor or crafting items. Now, if you want a better chance at legendary and rare drops, you may want to find keys to launch nukes. There are multiple nuke silos within this game, and you have to find multiple keys, and you usually find those on corpses of enemies that you kill. When you've gathered enough of those keys, you can go to the silos, launch a rocket where you want it to go. Now, you can drop a bomb on someone's settlement. As you can see, every person, friend, or foe, or stranger on your map, you'll know where they're at. But that would be a waste, as they'll be warned anyways with an air raid signal and notification on their Pip-Boy, and they could just pick up their camp and walk away and you wouldn't do anything to them. What you want to do is choose a location where the irradiated mobs will have drops you want. So if there's an area prone to having more sloths, and you need sloth claws for crafting, you'll want to drop your bomb there. You will have an increased drop chance of those claws and in multiples, as well as a better chance for legendary weapons and armor if you bomb that site. Now be careful and quick, as you can't stay long due to the radiation and also other players trying to take you out to get the loot before you can. Once again, if you picked up an item and someone or something kills you, the item remains in your inventory. This is part of their anti-griefing system. Now that's not the end of the adventure. There's still plenty of quests to complete, enemies to kill, and things to build. Bethesda plans on supporting this game for years, and once a system is in place to screen community mods to be used, we will have those in multiplayer format on the game. If you have not pre-ordered the game, please do so through Amazon. You will get your beta key within 48 hours, as Bethesda has a deal with them, it seems. If you have or will order that game through GameStop or Best Buy, you're in for a headache. I've personally encountered this. I've been on forums where many people have encountered this. We have been given the runaround with no real information on when the beta keys will be released, when we will receive them. And for some people like myself, it's been over a week since we ordered it. Now, I ordered the collector's edition. Now, at this time, the beta start date is unknown. It just seems to make people uneasy, especially if they pre-ordered the game, paid so much money, and other people already received their keys, but they haven't. I myself, I'm buying an additional copy of the game from Amazon, so that way I'm assured to get early access. Since I am an Xbox player, we get access before any other platform. I just really can't wait, and I want to make sure that I have that key. So if possible, I may have an extra key to give away, and I'll update on my Facebook and Twitter about that. As far as I know, it's going to only work for the platform in which it was purchased for, so it may only work for Xbox. Sorry, everyone else. If I find out something different, I'll update that before I post the giveaway. I'll be creating a Discord at some point to stay connected with all of you, not just for Fallout, but also for my Neverwinter viewers, and even other games that I plan on doing going forward. I will make more videos if we get updates on any information, including the time of the beta release, and I really look forward to seeing you all out there. Thanks for watching. Click the left to see the previous video, click to the right to see another video, and down at the bottom to subscribe. And to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel, follow on Facebook and Twitter.